Hello everyone, my name is Yogan Singh Dangi and we are going to discuss about lymphoid organs. So first of all we will talk about what is lymphoid organs. The organs where origin and maturation and proliferation of lymphocytes occur are called lymphoid organs. Lymphoid organs are stationed throughout the body and they are interconnected by the blood vessels and lymphoid vessels through which lymphocytes circulate. Lymphoid organs are involved in specific as well as non-specific immunity. So we can see all lymphoid organs in this picture. After this, we come to the type of lymphoid organs. Lymphoid organs are two types, primary lymphoid organ and secondary lymphoid organ. First, we discuss about two primary lymphoid organs. Primary lymphoid organs are also called central lymphoid organ. Primary lymphoid organ are the generation site of lymphocytes. The thymus and the bone marrow are considered primary lymphoid organ. In primary lymphoid organ, the lymphoid stem cells proliferate, differentiate and mature. Primary lymphoid organ are the sites of maturation for T and B cells. And next is secondary lymphoid organ. The secondary lymphoid organ are also called peripheral lymphoid organs. Secondary lymphoid organs are the sites where adaptive immune response are initiated. The spleen, lymph node, malt, and tonsils are the chief secondary lymphoid organs. The lymphoid stem cells become functional in secondary lymphoid organs, and they are the sites of cell function for T and B cells. So now we are discuss about primary lymphoid organs, and the first is thymus. The thymus is bilobe encapsulated organ located behind the sternum above and front of heart. Each lobe of thymus is surrounded by a capsule and is divided into lobules, which are separated from each other by strands of connective tissue called trabecula. Each lobule is organized into two compartments. The outer compartment, which are called cortex, is densely packed with immature T cells called thymocytes, whereas the inner compartment or medulla is sparsely populated with thymocytes. Both the cortex and medulla of thymus are crisscrossed by a three-dimensional stromal cell network composed of epithelial cells, dendritic cells, and macrophages. Function of thymus. The thymus gland appear to be master organ importance in immunology. The main function of thymus is to release thymosin hormones that will stimulate the maturation of T cells. Thymus is essential for the development of cell-mediated immunity. The humoral substance induces differentiation of lymphocytes directly within the cortex. And the next primary lymphoid organ is bone marrow. Bone marrow is soft, flexible connective tissue present within the bone cavity. There are two categories of bone marrow tissue, red bone marrow and yellow bone marrow. Bone marrow are present some of our bones such as our hip and thick bones. It contains stem cells and stem cells develop into different type of blood cells. Bone marrow can generate 200 billions of new blood cells every day. As we know, bone marrow is of two types, the first of which is red bone marrow. Red bone marrow, also known as myeloid tissue. Red bone marrow produces RBC, WBC, and platelets. Get its red color from the hemoglobin in the erythroid cells. Function. The main function of red bone marrow is help to remove old cells from circulation. And the second is yellow bone marrow. Yellow bone marrow is also known as fatty tissue. It produces fat, cartilage, and bone. Gets its red color from the carotenoids in the fat droplet in the high number of fat cells. And the chief function of yellow bone marrow is that when blood cell supply is extremely low, yellow bone marrow can be converted to red bone marrow in order to produce more blood cells. Function of bone marrow. All the cells of immune system can initially derived from the bone marrow through a process called hematopoiesis. The bone marrow also produces and release more white blood cells in response to infection and more platelets in response to bleeding. And next we will talk about some secondary lymphoid organs and is the first of these spleen. The spleen is located in the left side of the abdominal cavity under the diaphragm. The compartment of spleen are two types, red pulp and white pulp, which are separated by a diffuse marginal zone. The splenic red pulp consists of a network of sinusoids populated by macrophages and numerous RBC and few lymphocytes, and the splenic white pulp surround the branches of splenic artery and populated mainly by T lymphocytes. Function of spleen. Old RBC are recycled in the spleen and platelets and WBC are stored in spleen. The spleen also help to fight against certain type of bacteria that cause pneumonia and meningitis. In the fetus, the spleen acts as important hematopoietic organ. The next lymphoid organ is lymph node. Lymph nodes are group of small pin-shaped organs found mainly in the neck and trunk region of the human body. Morphologically, lymph node can be divided into three concentric regions: cortex, paracortex, and medulla. The outermost layer, cortex, contains lymphocytes, macrophages, and follicular dendritic cells. Beneath the cortex is the paracortex, which populated largely by T lymphocytes. The medulla is more sparsely populated with lymphoid lineage cells. Function of lymph nodes. They play vital role in the filtration of antigens and debris from lymph and in the generation of immune response to pathogens. Lymph nodes are often removed from cancer patients as their filtration function catches tumor cell metastatized from primary tumors. And the next secondary lymphoid organs is Peyer's patches. Peyer's patches are small masses of lymphatic tissue found throughout the ileum region of the small intestine that are similar to lymph nodes in structure. Peyer's patches also playing important role in trapping antigen from pathogen and destroying them. The next secondary lymphoid organ is malt. The vulnerable membrane surface are defended by a group of organized tissue mentioned earlier and collectively known as mucosal associated lymphoid tissue. The mucous membrane lining the digestive, respiratory, and urogenital system. Malt can be further classified as gut associated lymphoid tissue, bronchus associated lymphoid tissue, and nasal associated lymphoid tissue. Cells of Balt protect the bronchial region of the lower respiratory tract. Galt cells defend the lining of the gut, and Nalt cells protect the nasopharynx and upper respiratory tract. And the next secondary lymphoid organ is tonsils. Tonsils are fleshy pads located at each side of the back of the throat. The tonsils play an important role in protecting the body against respiratory and gastrointestinal infection. Each tonsil consists of a network of crypts that store cells used to fight infection. When tonsils become infected, the condition is called tonsillitis. Tonsillitis occurs when bacterial or viral organisms cause inflammation of the tonsillar tissue. The result in fever, difficulty swallowing, ear pain, loss of voice, etc. In this picture, we can see the result of bacterial or viral infection on human body. As we know, corona epidemic is going on at the moment and corona has created an epidemic all around. So we should know what effect our immune system or immune organ has on the corona. Here we will discuss about this. When the body encounters germs or viruses for the first time, of immune system cannot work properly and illness can occur. This scenario is what has occurred in the case of COVID-19 when the cells of the immune system become educated and they complete their jobs by recirculating between central and peripheral lymphoid organs and migrating it and from sites of injury by blood after being affected by virus immune response to mediate antibodies. The B cells assisted by T cells to differentiate into plasma cells, which then produce antibodies specific to viral antigens. A neutralized nature antibodies is efficient in fully blocking the virus from entering into host cells to limit the infection and play a very intense protective role at the later stage of infection and prevent relapse of infection. Thank you.